50 years ago, when it came to souveniring stumps, it was a matter of the quick and the dead. It's Australia versus England, third test, 1947, and Ray Lindwall's bowling the last ball. At the bowler's end, Lindwall is deprived of his booty by the batsman and the umpire. At the other end, watch for Keith Miller, scrambling for bails and eventually souveniring the Englishman's hat.
You've got to have an idea which stump that you've got to grab, so there's no confusion. It's sort of like, I suppose, musical chairs. If there's that split second of doubt, you lose it.
Back in 1948, in the Invincibles' first test at Trent Bridge, Sid Barnes, looking every bit the relay runner, did jump the gun.
There was a comedy finish. At 93, Barnes thought it was all over, grabbed stumps and ran to the pavilion. The mistake discovered, he was brought back. There was no mistake when the stumps were seized this time, except that is by Barnes, who didn't even get one.
Ian Healy likes nothing more than fielding last. He then gets the lot and duly hands one or two out. In that history-making win against Pakistan in Rawalpindi, the first in 39 years, Stuart McGill took 9 wickets, which didn't escape Mark Taylor, who passed on the spoils to his spin bowler. But no one quite competes like Lindsay Hassett and Keith Miller did 50 years ago.
For the spectators, a minor scrap between Miller and Hassett for the one remaining stump enlivened the last few minutes. Now it's up to the selectors to pick a cricket team.
That is an absolute gem from the Vault, the Wide World of Sports Vault, and Michael Maher was the reporter there. Now, some of those stumps are still in the hot hands of one Mark Taylor, who's opened up the trunk at home. What have you found for us?
Well, I've found about a dozen stumps in this tea chest I brought home from England in the 1993 tour.
Who did you have to wrestle for these?
A couple I gave away. You saw the one I gave to McGillar when he took 9 for in that game. I got one here from the MCG in 1990, where I had a good test match there. And I've also got another one. I've got 2 in that game, and I've been meaning to bring this back in to 9, because this is one of the stump mic ones. You see, the bottom screws out of these. I hope you can see that at home. This is what they started to do back in the early 90s, and they put the mics in here, they'd run it through the ground up through here, and I pinched it, and we were told you had to give it back. I wasn't working for 9 at the time. So 35 years later, to probably David Hill, back in those days or something like that, I've got a stump here to return.
The stumps department has been looking for that.
Yeah, so there it is, it's good to go. Back to the inventory.
What else you got there? These are hinges
on. On the back of what happened with Keith Miller and Barnes and what have you, people are always trying to grab these from memorabilia. In the late 80s, early 90s, they started to cut them in half. You see, this is an Ashes stump, from 1989. It's actually got a nice little plaque on there, M.A. Taylor, 89 Ashes, with all the teams signing it. And then 93, they gave away the plaque idea and just put up all in stickers, a bit cheaper to do in those days, but that's what they started to do. So, as I said, I've got about a dozen stumps at home. Unfortunately, I haven't marked about 6 or 7 of them, so I don't know where they're from. So I'll just make something up later in life and sell them off for a fortune.
And build a new pergola. And a dozen or so bats, and there's a stack of stuff there.
Yeah, I went through this trunk, as I said a moment ago. I bought back, as we all did back in the 80s and 90s, these big tea chests from England. And you threw any gear you wanted to bring back, memorabilia and what have you. The chest has to be a couple of metres wide and probably a metre high. Massive thing, it's full. I opened it up on the weekend to try and find some of these, and I found bats that I used back in the 80s and 90s, some old favourites, some with elastoplast around the handle, and so I've got to start going through all that, because I haven't done much since my retirement 150 years ago.